back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. By popular demand, I'm doing my February wrap-up. I honestly feel like my wrap-ups don't get a lot of views, so I don't feel like people really want them, but when I polled you guys, for the most part, everyone was like, yeah, do a wrap-up. So here I am. We're gonna talk about the books I read, the things I wrote, and some personal life tidbits. And I don't have a lot to share, surprisingly, which is not a bad thing. So let's dive into all the books I read. Yeah, so for the month of February, I actually have not completed a lot of books. I completed 3, in fact, and one was a very, very silly, simple book, but I did it for self-care. And we're gonna start with that one because it was the little book of self-care for Sagittariuses. I picked this up on a whim. I think I was kind of feeling not really burnt out, but just not as with it. And I was kind of like sitting down in my old library, so I still have books and everything in there, and I was just kind of sitting there and like taking some breaths, and I saw this out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, you know what, I never really picked this up. And goddamn, like, I don't, whether you believe in astrology or not, this book for real like just called me out on so many things, like especially like little stuff, like the fact that like I have lower back problems, which I do, and like the things that I like put my whole into, and like kind of like putting it all in, burning myself up, putting my all in. Like there was just a lot of things that I actually did resonate with. And even if you don't believe in like the astrology, it was really cool to see like what they suggested for self-care. And I'm sure some of this repeats based on like what books you're reading, but I'm a Sagittarius, so I have this one, and I did resonate with quite a lot. And after reading it, I decided to follow through with some of these. But I feel like this is going to be a book where I could like one day like just pick it up randomly and say like, okay, I'm stuck, I need some self-care, like let's practice like letting go our negative emotions. So you know, it's just kind of fun, and it's a very simple book, but this was really cute. I'm glad I have it. It was gifted to me, and I'm glad, you know, it's like 100 some pages, and it's a lot of like, you know, not full pages, big text kind of thing, because it's a self-care book. So I literally think I read this in an hour, and we have that to, you know, come back to at some point. And then the only other books that I actually completed were Raybearer and the sequel Redemptor by Jordan Ifueko. I love this book and this series. I feel like this is such a great YA book. It has African inspired mythology, and it's just so well written. I actually, when I initially heard about this book, it was during the pandemic, and the author was debuting in 2020. It had gotten pushed back because of all the publishing issues in, you know, that year that doesn't really exist to anybody. And they had a Y'all Stay Home, which instead of Y'all Fest, which is down in South Carolina, they did one where everybody was able to attend online virtually for free. And I jumped into that because, again, staying home, like we're all kind of struggling. And I just loved how this author spoke about herself, about the book, about the inspiration. I pre-ordered it. I even got a signed book plate. And then I put it off for 4 years. So, well, 3 years probably. But this is great. The writing was really well written. It was really fascinating. I loved the pieces and the culture that was really well represented in this, especially like the use of music and sounds. I listened to the audiobook as well, and the audiobook was so well done, and it wrapped up really nicely. Considering that the second book had like so much more action, and it didn't seem to be like in a place where it could possibly end, I think she did a really well job of like keeping that pace really nice and then wrapping it up. So overall, like, I'm so happy I read this. I just saw that the author has another book coming out this year, and it is set in this world, and I'm gonna likely buy it because I really enjoyed everything about this. So high praise, go pick this book up. It is YA fantasy, and it's all worth it. The only thing I could say criticism wise, and it's probably just due to the nature of the book, is I wish it was a little bit longer, and I wish we got to explore a little bit more of like the bigger world around all these characters and the dynamic between these siblings, because there's 12 siblings. They're called council siblings. They're not actually related, but they all have magical gifts that are tied to the emperor, and or empress. And when they have, like, that's what the ray bearer is. Like, so the ray bearer is like this person that has all this magical power and is like kind of divine. And then these council members are all connected, and basically if you're connected to these 11 members, then you don't die. So the emperor is essentially immortal. And our main character is basically pushed in by her absentee mother to get connected with this emperor in order to kill him, because once she's anointed as like the one of the ray bearers council members, she is one of the only people that could actually kill him. So it's very well done. It's kind of like a murder revenge plot, as well as like this lush fantasy world. And yeah, I loved it. Other than those two books, I started a lot. I started Knock Knock Who's There because, you know, call me influenced. Books with Lala talked about it. It sounded like something I'd be interested in, so I started reading that. I've been slowly making my way through The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and I also started another like novella. And I'm all over the place with books. I can't sit down and finish anything right now, apparently, but I'm starting them all. So we'll see how March fares. Moving into my writing, I wrote a lot in February. If you missed my vlog, I am taking Reedsy's How to Write a Novel course. It was offered to me for free to participate and review and potentially down the road do some affiliate related videos. But I do have an affiliate link if anyone's interested in taking any of their courses, and you use my link, I could get a small kickback in order to apply and have another course under my belt for them. But so far I have done 3 weeks and the prep week as the day I'm filming this video, and I'm very excited about the course. It's definitely renewed my interest in writing, and I'm excited to apply what I'm doing to my vampire novel because that's what I'm writing. So I have been getting back into vampire. I've been fleshing out some things more, plotting more, and we are getting to finish that novel. We'll finish that novel by April. It's gonna happen. Aside from that, I did go ahead and submit a poetry chapbook to a small press in hopes that they'll like it and they'll want to publish it. If they do accept it, that's going to be under my pen name, which is Bilabka, and we'll see how that goes. I'm excited, but I kind of put it out of the back of my mind once I submitted it. Like, I kind of forgot that we did that. Ma'am, what are you doing? I've also been waiting to see when the anthology that my 2 poems are going to be featured in from Beyond the Veil Press will be published. So far, we haven't heard anything more on it other than the fact that I signed my contract, but still waiting, so I have no updates on that. And then lastly, as you guys might have seen earlier this week, I also published a video where I collabed with Anna Taylor, and we challenged each other to write to submit. So we gave each other a short story prompt, a place to submit, and then the deadline, which was February 29th. And I wrote a short story. It was a horror story based on the idea of running through the same door over and over again. And I really love the story. And we'll see. I have no movement on that either, but I'm hopeful, and maybe we'll have some good news at some time. I know they say basically within a month you're going to know one way or another. So I hope by next wrap up I will have news on that front. And then as far as my life updates, I don't have a ton. And that's kind of the part where like it's good because things have been pretty steady and like ongoing. My work life has been very busy. But it's been a good busy because now like my days tend to go faster when people show up and I have a full caseload, so that's really nice. I've been celebrating a lot of birthdays in February. I have a lot of friends and family who have February birthdays, so I feel like every other weekend I was out to eat for somebody's birthday. So I ate a lot of food over the last month, and otherwise I sat and wrote a lot. Most of my time has been like super consumed with writing, so I didn't do a lot outside of that, aside from like my normal stuff, which is my writing club and my book club. I guess actually in writing club I forgot to mention this because it's been a while, but last month I also edited one of my other short stories that I had previously submitted to Apex magazine, and it wasn't in its best state, so I knew that was going to reject it. But I did edit that, so I'm thinking maybe I will try to submit that elsewhere too, because I really like that story. It's sci-fi and has like mental health related info in there, so I'm hopeful on that. But yeah, I've just been like writing heavy, and even like my media consumption was down so much. We only watched Wonka in the beginning of February, and that was fine. It was an interesting movie. I have no hard feelings one way or another. It was just kind of middle of the road for me. It was very pretty to look at, but kind of like predictable because we all know the story, and I don't necessarily think I needed a Wonka origin story, but I found some of the humor was great, and I really like Timothy Chalamet, so I had no major feelings. It was a pretty just decent movie. And then we also watched Love on the Spectrum on Netflix last month. We watched the full 2 seasons, and that was really sweet and adorable, and like made me happy and hopeful for people. The only thing I will comment like negatively is that I feel like they were purposely like splicing some scenes to make it feels so much more awkward than it probably was in real life. And that felt a little mean to me. Like, why do we have to make it look so awkward? Like, they're just two humans. Like, come on. Like, we already know that people can be awkward. But otherwise, like, that was the only criticism I had. But I will probably watch more if they come out with more seasons. It was very wholesome in some ways. And it's like a breath of fresh air from like other reality dating shows that I've watched back in my teenage years. So that's pretty much my entirety of February. Not a lot going on, but lots of like feel good progress, I would say. I am really trying to be like conscious of what I'm doing with my time, with all my efforts, and as the weather hopefully starts getting better and as we near spring, I would really like to utilize more time listening to audiobooks and taking walks outside. So I'm hopeful that that will happen. But yeah, let me know how your February was, guys. Were you busy? Were you also calm? Were things crazy for you? Let me know if you read any good books or what things you wrote. And until next time, I will see you then. Okay, bye.